Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Podcast. Today is Friday, April 5th, 2019. A lot to get to today. College basketball, both men and women's. Baseball, hockey, basketball, my NFL mock draft, and my best bet of the day. We'll start in college basketball, where the NIT and the CIT were wrapped up. NIT championship game was interesting for a little while, and then Texas pulled away 81-66 as Texas wins the NIT. They finished the season at 21-16. Lipscomb 29-8. My theory in college basketball is if you win 20 games or more, you're a good team. But if you win 30, you're either borderline great or great. So Lipscomb was very close to being great. Texas was good, but not good enough to make the tournament. But Texas wins the NIT, and Shaka Smart and company are probably happy about that, but deep down they probably know that their season has to be considered a disappointment because they did not make the big dance this year. Lipscomb, they've had a good season, I thought. One of the better seasons from mid-major. I think they're going to be among the better teams in the ASUN next year, along with Liberty, and if Florida Gulf Coast can bounce back. Meanwhile, Texas, going forward, the Big 12 should be better next year. I think Texas will be among the contenders. I think West Virginia is a strong bounce-back candidate if Sagaba Kanate comes back. Kansas will always be there. Kansas State has some guys leaving, but they should still be solid with Bruce Weber. Jamie Dixon might leave for UCLA. That'd be a problem for TCU. You have Oklahoma State, who should be better next year. Oklahoma is always a team that can sneak into the tournament with a good coach, Lon Kruger. Scott Drew overachieved year after year with Baylor. So there's a lot of intrigue in the Big 12. So we'll see how the Longhorns fare next year. And then obviously the Red Raiders, who I believe have the best coach in that conference now, with Chris Beard, who was just named the National Coach of the Year for the men's side, and that's well-deserved. Dylan Ostakowski had 19 to lead the Longhorns, and Rob Mayberry had 17 for Lipscomb. The CIT, Marshall creams Green Bay 90-70 in the championship game. Green Bay actually had the lead at halftime. Marshall outscores them 50-28 in the second half. CJ Burks had 28 to lead Marshall, and Shaquan Hemphill had 21 for Green Bay. Both these teams going forward, Green Bay finishes at 21-17, Marshall 23-14. Two good teams that weren't good enough for either the Big Dance or the NIT. Green Bay is obviously in the Horizon League. Northern Kentucky just lost their best player in Drew McDonald. He's a senior leaving. Wright State was good in that conference. Oakland's a team that's normally good in that conference. Green Bay will probably be among the better teams in that conference. And CUSA, Marshall has a good coach in Dan D'Antoni. He deserves a lot of credit for rallying the troops in this tournament. They were the preseason favorites, I believe, in this conference, but they underachieved in conference play. Both them and Western Kentucky were big disappointments in CUSA play this year. North Texas was a team that I thought overachieved in the CUSA. Obviously, Old Dominion won that conference, and they were missing their best player. They overachieved. UAB wasn't bad. So that conference is actually pretty solid with some of their programs. So we'll see how Marshall is next year and the rest of those schools in that program. Now we'll go over to the CBI, where that de facto championship game is tonight. Game 3, South Florida, DePaul, 7 o'clock, ESPNU. DePaul's favored by 1. I'm taking South Florida. I just think that they're the more motivated team, and their team that I think is the better team and more happy to be there, per se. And then DePaul is just like, we don't care. But wouldn't it surprise me if DePaul won? They've played well in this tournament. DePaul's actually had a solid season because they really haven't finished above 500 in a long time. And same for South Florida. So regardless of how these teams do tonight, I have to say that both of these teams have had pretty successful seasons. DePaul, I thought, overachieved in the Big East this past year, and South Florida overachieved in the AAC. And I think both those teams could be NIT teams next year, if not, maybe even in the Big Dance. So give me South Florida to take it on the road to win the CBI championship. Now we'll move on to women's, where the Final Four begins tonight in Tampa Bay. 7 o'clock ESPN2. 2-seeded Oregon against 1-seeded Baylor. These two obviously came from different regions. Baylor, I believe, was the number 1 overall seed. And then Oregon came, I believe, from the West region. Baylor from the South, and obviously Notre Dame Midwest, and then UConn in the East. The Bears are favored by 7.5. That is a big, big number. I think Oregon can hang around, but Baylor's just a better team. Their coach was just named the National Coach of the Year, and rightfully so. I think the Bears get the job done and move on to the championship game. The game, I think, is the better game. 9 o'clock ESPN2. You have 2-seeded UConn from the East region and then 1-seeded Notre Dame from the Midwest region. Notre Dame's favored by 2.5. This is going to be a phenomenal game. Both these teams are solid. The best player between these two teams is Enrique Agumbali of Notre Dame. Jackie Young's been a good role player for the Irish as well. Obviously, UConn has a ton of talent on their roster. And Gino Auriemma is the best coach in this sport. UConn is a team that lost at the buzzer the last 2 years. Katie Lou Samuelson and Nafisa Collier are two great players, but I just think that Young and Agumbale lead the Irish to a huge win to set up a highly anticipated game on Sunday between Baylor and the Irish. So giving Notre Dame there to win and the cover. I think Oregon covers against Baylor, by the way. Now move on to Major League Baseball. We're going to go over the scores and look ahead to today's games. Tigers over the Royals 5-4. Detroit is 5-3. KC's 2-4. The winning pitcher in this game for Detroit, now at 1-0 on the year, Blaine Hardy. The losing pitcher of the game, Kyle Zimmer. He's 0-1, and Shane Green gets his 5th save of the year. I believe he's the Major League leader in saves as the season is a little over a week old. Top of the first, RBI double, Jorge Soler, 1-0 Royals. Bottom of the first, RBI single, Miguel Cabrera, 1-1. Fielder's choice, Nico Goodrum, 2-1 Tigers. Top of the third, RBI single, Jorge Soler, 2-2. Sacrifice fly, Alex Gordon, 3-2. That was top of the fifth. Bottom of the fifth, RBI double, Nico Goodrum, 3-3. Bottom of the seventh, bases loaded walk, Goodrum, 4-3 Tigers. Sacrifice fly, Christian Stewart, 5-3 Tigers. Top of the eighth, home run, Alex Gordon, 5-4 is your final. Stephen Turnbull, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts, ERA 4.09. Jacob Junis, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, ERA 4.63. Nats over the Mets 4-0 in the Mets home opener. Washington's 3-3. The Mets are 5-2. Steven Strasburg's the win. 1-0. Noah Syndergaard the loss, 0-1. All Nats in this one. Top of the second, sacrifice to the pitcher by Wilmer Difeld. The run scores 1-0 Nats. Top of the sixth, home run Victor Robles, his second of the season, second of the year off of Syndergaard. 2-0 Nats. Top of the ninth, sacrifice fly Ryan Zimmerman, 3-0 Nats. RBI single, Wilmer Difel, 4-0 Nats. That's your final. Steven Strasburg, 6 2/3 innings, 3 hits, no one runs, a walk, and 9 strikeouts, ERA 2.84. Noah Syndergaard, 6 innings, 1 hit, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, ERA 4.5. Athletics over the Red Sox, 7-3. A big win for Oakland. They're 6-4. Boston drops to a disappointing 2-6. Brett Anderson gets the win. Eduardo Rodriguez the loss. Anderson's 2-0. Rodriguez is 0-2. Top of the first, bases loaded walk. Xander Bogaerts, 1-0 Sox. Bases loaded walk. Brock Holt, 2-0 Sox. Top of the third, home run. JD Martinez, 3-0 Sox. Bottom of the third, game tying 3-run shot. Stephen Piscotty, 3-3. Bottom of the fourth, RBI double. Robbie Grossman, 4-3 A's. 2-run ground rule double, Stephen Piscotty, 6-3 A's. Bottom of the sixth, RBI single, Chris Davis, 7-3 A's is your final. Brett Anderson, 5 in the third innings, 8 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, ERA 2.38. Eduardo Rodriguez, 3 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, ERA an ugly 12.38. Yankees over the Orioles, 8-4, much needed win for New York. They're 3-4. Baltimore's 4-3. James Paxton gets the win, he's 1-1. Mike Wright the loss, 0-1. Bottom of the first, leadoff home run, Jonathan VR, 1-0 Orioles. Trey Mancini scores on a balk by James Paxton, 2-0 O's. Renato Nunez scores on a wild pitch by Paxton, 3-0 O's. Top of the third, home run, Gleyber Torres, his first of the year, 3-1. Bottom of the fifth, RBI single, Renato Nunez, 4-1 Orioles. Top of the sixth, home run, Gary Sanchez, makes it a 4-2 game. The go-ahead home run by Gleyber Torres, 5-4 Yankees. Top of the ninth, 3-run shot, Luke Voit, to put it away at 8-4. That's your final. James Paxton, 5 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. His ERA is 4.09. Alex Cobb, 5 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. ERA 3.18. Indians over the Blue Jays 4-1. The Indians team had a combined no-hitter going into the ninth, but Toronto's Freddie Galvis broke it up with a leadoff single in the top of the ninth. Trevor Bauer gets the win, he's 1-0. Anibal Sanchez the loss, 1-1. Aaron Sanchez. Brad Hand gets his third save of the year. Bottom of the fourth, fielder's choice, Greg Allen, 1-0 Indians. Roberto Perez, sacrifice fly, 2-0 Indians. Bottom of the seventh, Jose Ramirez, sacrifice fly, 3-0 Indians. Bases loaded walk, Brad Miller, 4-0 Indians. Top of the ninth, RBI double, Teoscar Hernandez made it a 4-1 game. That's your final. Trevor Bauer, 7 innings, no hits, no runs, 6 walks, 8 strikeouts, ERA 0.64. The walks really hurt Bauer, or else he could have gone further. Aaron Sanchez, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts, ERA 1.64. Pirates over the Reds, 2-0. A nice win for Pittsburgh, they're 2-3. Cincinnati's 1-5. Nick Kingham the win, he's 1-0. David Hernandez the loss, he's 0-1. Felipe Vasquez gets his first save. Bottom of the seventh, RBI ground out, Kevin Newman, 1-0 Pittsburgh. Bottom of the eighth, RBI single, Josh Bell, 2-0 Pittsburgh. That's your final. Jordan Lyles was great. 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 0 ERA. And starting for Cincinnati was Tyler Mahle. He was okay. 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts, 0 ERA. The Reds really do miss Scooter Gennett. That's one of my big takeaways from earlier in the season. Braves over the Cubs, 9-4. Atlanta, 3-3. Chicago, 1-5. Max Fried, the win, he's 1-0. Yu Darvish lost, he's 0-1. Bottom of the fourth, RBI single, Brian McCann, 1 with the Braves. Bottom of the fifth, well pitched by Carl Edwards Jr. allows Ender Inciarte to score. That makes it 2-0 Braves. Bases clearing double, Nick Markakis, 5-0 Braves. RBI single, Dansby Swanson, 6-0 Braves. Bottom of the seventh, sacrifice fly, Brian McCann, 7-0 Braves. Bottom of the eighth, 2-run double, Nick Markakis, 9-0 Braves. Couple garbage runs for the Cubs in the ninth inning. 2-run shot, Anthony Rizzo made it 9-2. Home run, Javier Baez made it 9-3. And a grounder into a fielder's choice by Mark Zengis, and that's your final. Yu Darvish, 4 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, ERA 8.1. Max Fried, 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts, 0 ERA. Fried actually was perfect through 5, and then the Cubs broke up the perfect game attempt. and the Braves hang on to win. Rangers over the Angels 11-4. The Rangers have been an early surprise. They're 5-2. Angels are 1-6. Josh Springs gets the win at 1-0. Matt Harvey the loss, 0-1. Top of the first, a 3-run home run. Joey Gallo, 3-0 Rangers. 2-run shot, Ronald Guzman, 5-0. Bottom of the first, home run, Cole Calhoun made it 5-1. Top of the third, RBI double by Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, 6-1 Rangers. Bottom of the third, home run Mike Trout, his first of the year, made it 6-2. Top of the fifth, 3-run double Sin-Soo Choo, 9-2 Rangers. Bottom of the sixth, RBI double, Brian Goodwin made it 9-3. Top of the eighth, 2-run single, Elvis Andrus made it 11-3. Bottom of the ninth, RBI groundout, Albert Pujols made it 11-4. That's your final. Edinson Volquez, 3 2/3 innings, 42 runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, ERA 7.04. His pitch count got pretty high, so they pulled him. Matt Harvey, 4 innings, 10 hits, 8 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, ERA of 9. Both Mariners, White Sox, and Padres, Cardinals were postponed to today. And Mariners, White Sox is at 2 o'clock. 4 o'clock, you have Dodgers, Rockies. Pitching matchup for Mariners, White Sox is Yusei Kikuchi and Reynaldo Lopez. Kikuchi has 2 no decisions with a 2.53 ERA. Lopez 0-1 with a 9 ERA. Dodgers, Rockies at 4 o'clock. Kenta Maeda and Tyler Anderson. Maeda 1-0 with 4.05. Tyler Anderson 0-1 with the 9. Padres, Cardinals, 4:15. Cardinals home opener. You have Nick Margifkis and Jack Flaherty. Margifkis is 0-1 with a 1.8, and Flaherty, no decision with an 8.31. 4:30, Rays, Giants home opener for San Francisco. Tyler Glasnow and Derek Rodriguez. Both pitchers 1-0. Glasnow has a 1.8 and Rodriguez has a 3.6. 7 o'clock, Reds, Pirates. Sonny Gray against Joe Musgrove. Gray 0-1 with a 6.75. Musgrove a no decision with an ERA of 0. And Musgrove, this is his first start of the year. Twins, Phillies. That's an interesting one. Jake Odorizzi and Nick Pivetta. Both pitchers have no decisions. Odorizzi with a 1.5 ERA and Pivetta with an ugly 7.71. Red Sox, Diamondbacks. This is the home opener for Arizona. Rick Porcello 0-1 with a 13.5. Zach Godley 0-1 with an 11.81. Blue Jays, Indians. You have Shane Bieber against Trent Thornton. Trent Thornton with a no decision and an ERA of 0. Shane Bieber, a no decision and an ERA of 4.5. 7:20, you have the Marlins and the Braves. Pablo Lopez and Kevin Gausman. Gausman's making his season debut. Lopez 1-0 with a 5.06 for Miami. 8 o'clock, you have the Cubs and the Brewers. Jose Quintana against Brandon Woodruff. Quintana, no decision with a 0 ERA. Woodruff 1-0 with a 3.6. Athletics, Astros. You have Frankie Montas against Colin McHugh. Montas 1-0 with a 1.5. McHugh 0-1 with a 3.6. 10 o'clock, Rangers, Angels. That's Lance Lynn and Felix Pena. Lynn with a no decision and an 11.12 ERA. And Pena 0-1 with a 9.82 ERA. We'll switch over to the NBA now. Only 3 games last night. Bucks over the 76ers, 128-122. Bucks clinched the best record in the NBA. 59-20 on the year. Phillies 49-30. Giannis Antetokounmpo 45 points in the win. Joel Embiid at 34. Kings over the Cavs 117-104. Sacramento 39-40. Cleveland 19-60. Buddy Hield at 23 for Sacramento and Jordan Clarkson at 22 for Cleveland. Warriors over the Lakers 108-90. Golden State's 54-24. LA's 35-44. DeMarcus Cousins had 21 for Golden State, and Jonathan Williams had 17 for the Lakers. Tonight's slate, 7 o'clock, the Raptors at the Hornets, the Hawks at the Magic, the Spurs at the Wizards, 8 o'clock, the Knicks at the Rockets. On ESPN, I think the biggest game of the night, the Celtics at the Pacers at the Pick'em, and I'm going to pick the Boston Celtics get the win on the road. I'm not so super about it because they have been on and off throughout the year, but Indiana has been worse since Victor Oladipo got hurt, and the Celtics know they have to win this game. I like how Gordon Hayward played against Miami. I think the Boston Celtics are going to win this game outright by 5 points. The Heat at the Timberwolves, the Pistons at the Thunder, 8:30 the Grizzlies at the Mavs, 9 o'clock the Kings at the Jazz, 10 o'clock the Pelicans at the Suns, 10:30 ESPN, the Trailblazers at the Nuggets. Denver is favored by 6.5. Tough call. I'm going to take the Nuggets to win, but the Blazers to cover. You have the Cavs at the Warriors, finals rematch, sorta. And then the Lakers at the Clippers. I'm going to look at the standings real quick. If the season were to end today, and the season's last day is actually on Wednesday, so in a week from today, I'll have up my NBA playoff preview and predictions podcast. So here we go. With the best record in the NBA, clinched Milwaukee Bucks, 59-20, your 1 seed in the East. 2 seed in the East is locked up, the Toronto Raptors at 56-23. Your 3 right now is Philly at 49-30. Boston's 4th at 47-32. Indiana's 5th at 47-32. Both of those teams have obviously clinched, but those two can flip if Indiana wins tonight, which I don't think they will. Detroit, Brooklyn, and Orlando are yet to clinch. Detroit's 500 at 39-39. Brooklyn and Orlando are each 39-40. Miami's 38-40. Charlotte is actually still alive. They're 2.5 back of the 8 seed. They're 36-42, but I think they're done. And eliminated are Washington, Atlanta, Chicago, Cleveland, and New York. The West. Every spot has been clinched. It's just a matter of the order. Golden State, 54-24. Denver's 52-26. Houston's 51-28. Portland's 50-28. Utah's 48-30. Clippers are 47-32. OKC's 45-33. And San Antonio's 45-34. So if the season were to end today, Milwaukee Orlando is a first round series. So nothing really intrigues me about that possible series, except that it's the Magic's first time in the playoffs since Dwight Howard on the team. That's probably not a long series. Toronto and Brooklyn, 2 Atlantic Division rivals that have played some good games this year. Philly and Detroit, you have the big man matchup with Embiid and Drummond, and then Boston, Indiana is what you're going to get in the first round, barring Philly losing out and Boston or Indiana winning out. And that's going to be previewed tonight on ESPN with Mike Breen and Hubie Brown on the call, so that should be a fun game. West, it'll be Golden State, San Antonio. San Antonio has been playing good ball of late, even though they dipped to the 8 seed. Denver and OKC. If Paul George is healthy, then that's going to be some series. Houston and the Clippers is obviously some series. That's the best series of the first round because it's Chris Paul against his former team and all the role players on the Clippers that used to be on the Rockets like Montrezl Harrell and Patrick Beverley and guys like that. And then Portland, Utah is the 4-5. That's a team in the Jazz that is like a defense mentality team, and then Portland, on the other hand, is like an offense first team. So that's an interesting series. We'll move on to the NHL now. Their season actually ends tomorrow, but I'm going to go through the results. Sabres over the Senators 5-2. So Buffalo 32-39-10. Ottawa 29-46-6. Sabres 8-game losing streak's over. Jack Eichel was the number 1 star of the game with a goal and 2 assists. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and an assist. Victor Olofsson and the number 3 star of the game with the goal, Jason Pominville. Lightning over the Maple Leafs 3-1. Lightning are just playing for pride at this point because they have everything locked up. 61-16-4. That's like Golden State Warriors-esque. And Toronto 46-28-7. Steven Stamkos is the number 1 star of the game with the goal and assist. Andrei Vasilevsky is number 2 with the 29 saves on 30 shots. And the number 3 star of the game with the goal, Mitch Marner. Islanders over the Panthers 2-1. The shootout. Islanders are 47-27-7. Florida's 36-32-13. Number 1 star of the game with the goal, Brock Nelson. Number 2 star of the game with 29 saves on 30 shots, Thomas Greiss. Number 3 star of the game with 35 saves on 36 shots, backup goalie for the Florida Panthers, Sam Montembeault. Penguins over the Red Wings 4-1. Pittsburgh clinches a playoff spot as they go to 44-26-11. Detroit winning streak over, 32-39-10. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals and an assist, Phil Kessel. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and 2 assists, Sidney Crosby. Number 3 star of the game with 33 saves on 34 shots, Matt Murray. Capitals over the Canadiens 2-1. Capitals clinched the Metropolitan Division. The Habs are on life support right now. Washington's 48-25-8. Montreal 43-30-8. Number 1 star of the game with 33 saves on 34 shots, Braden Holtby. Number 2 star of the game with 29 saves on 31 shots, Carey Price. Number 3 star of the game with goal, Lars Eller. Hurricanes over the Devils 3-1 as Carolina clinches a playoff spot. That's so great for this franchise. They deserve it. 45-29-7 on the year. Jersey's 30-41-10, so disappointing season for them. Number 1 star of the game with 36 saves on 37 shots, Peter Mrazek. Number 2 star of the game with the goal, Nito Niederreiter. Number 3 star of the game with the goal, Justin Falk. Blues over the Flyers 7-3. The Blues are 44-28-9. Philadelphia 37-36-8. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals and an assist, Alex Steen. Number 2 star of the game with 26 saves on 29 shots, Jordan Binghamton. And the number 3 star of the game with 3-6, Alex Pietrangelo. Predators over the Canucks 3-2. Vancouver drops to 35-36-10. Nashville 46-29-6. Number 1 star of the game with the goal, Ryan Johansson. Number 2 star of the game with the goal and assist, Nick Medino. Number 3 star of the game with 2 assists, Austin Watson. Bruins over the Wild 3-0. As Boston goes to 49-23-9. Minnesota 37-35-9. Number 1 star of the game with 26 saves on 26 shots, Yaroslav Halak. Number 2 star of the game with 32 saves on 35 shots, Alex Stalock. And the number 3 star of the game didn't have a point, but just played well against his former team, and that's Charlie Coyle. Avalanche over the Jets 3-2 in overtime. Great win for Colorado. They're very close to clinching. They are 38-29-14. Winnipeg's 46-30-5. Number 1 star of the game with the overtime goal, Eric Johnson. And actually, no, Colorado clinches with this win. That's my mistake. Number 2 star of the game with the goal, Tyson Barrie. Number 3 star of the game with the goal, Carl Soderberg. Sharks over the Oilers 3-2. San Jose is 45-27-9 on the year. Edmonton 34-38-9. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals, Leon Draisaitl. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist, Brett Burns. Number 3 star of the game with an assist, Joe Thornton. Coyotes over the Golden Knights 4-1. The Coyotes are 39-34-8. Vegas 43-31-7. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals, Derek Stepan. Number 2 star of the game didn't have a point but just had a good game, Ryan Carpenter. Number 3 star of the game with 2 assists is Lawson Krause. Only 3 games on tonight's slate in the NHL. 7 o'clock, you have the Blue Jackets at the Rangers. 8:30, the Stars of the Blackhawks. 10 o'clock, the Kings at the Ducks. Going to go through the standings real quick in the NHL. In the Atlantic Division, Tampa's clinched the President's Trophy. They have 126 points. Boston, Toronto locked in second and third, respectively, 107 points and 99 points. Metro. Washington is your division winner with 101 points. Islanders look like they have the 2 seed locked up with 101 points. And in Pittsburgh, looks like your 3 seed right now at 99. This can change with a couple weird results. Wild cards, you have Carolina with 97. And they clinched last night. Columbus can clinch tonight with a win at the Rangers. They have 94 points. Montreal also has 94. I have to give Montreal credit, even if they missed the playoffs. I still think this was a pretty good year for them. I know the Canadian fans will look at it as a disappointment that they didn't make the playoffs, but it's fair to say that team overachieved this year, and Claude Julien has to be in the conversation for the Jack Adams Award. Although he won't win, he just has to be a candidate because I really think that he got that team to overachieve this year, and that's credit to him, and that's to Carey Price, too, for turning back the clock of some sorts, and then some young guys like Jonathan Drouin and Max Domi making impacts on that team. And then everybody else is done, such as Florida, Philly, Rangers, Detroit, Buffalo, Devils, and Ottawa. West. Everybody's locked up in the West. The Central Division's yet to be decided, though. Nashville is 98, Winnipeg and St. Louis at 97. Pacific, Calgary has that and the West home ice locked up at 107. San Jose's locked in the second with 99, and in Vegas is locked in the third with 93. Your wild cards are Dallas and Colorado. Those 2 spots can flip. The playoff matchups projected as of right now. Tampa Bay would be playing Columbus. Some of this can change if Columbus loses, Montreal. There's things that can change. Toronto and Boston is definitely a first-round series. You have Washington probably against Carolina. But if Carolina and Pittsburgh flip-flop, that's going to be something if Pittsburgh and Washington hook up in the first round. And it looks like Islanders-Pittsburgh right now, but it could end up being Islanders against Carolina as well if certain results happen. In the West, you would have Calgary against Colorado if the season were to end today. But like I said, Colorado can flip-flop with Dallas, potentially. You have Nashville against Dallas. Winnipeg against St. Louis. That'd be a great series. And then San Jose, Vegas is a lock at this point for a first round. So the 2 guaranteed series right now are San Jose, Vegas, and Boston, Toronto. And one bit of hockey news that I would like to discuss before I move on to my mock draft. Glenn Sather has resigned as the president of hockey operations for the New York Rangers. He's getting up there in age. I think he did a great job in his tenure by not allowing owner James Dolan to interfere like Dolan would interfere with the Knicks and kind of ruin them a little bit. But I think Sather did a great job. He absolutely stole Henrik Lundqvist when he drafted him. He hired Jeff Gorton to replace him as the general manager, as Sather was just the president of hockey ops. And I think Gorton has done excellent as the Rangers general manager. He'll probably stay the general manager, but they'll probably hire somebody above Gorton to replace him. The candidates, to me, I think the favorite to replace Sather is obvious, and that is current president of hockey ops in Columbus, John Davidson. I think that is the slam dunk favorite to replace him. Davidson, obviously familiar with this organization. He used to be their lead broadcaster with Sam Rosen back in the day before he left to take the Blues front office position. So I think he's the favorite for the job to the point where I'd be surprised if he didn't get it. Kind of reminds me a little bit in football a few years ago when the Giants fired Jerry Reese and it seemed like a foregone conclusion that it was going to be Dave Gettleman. Except I think John Davidson would do a better job running the Rangers than what Gettleman has done with the Giants. Steve Yzerman is, I think, a candidate for this job, but I think he'll say no. only because I think that he's Detroit Red Wings bound, and I think it's a no-brainer. I think that is a bigger lock than John Davidson getting this Rangers job, believe it or not, because the Yzerman Detroit thing's been out there for a year. Since Yzerman stepped down as the Lightning president, I think that the dots were connecting him to the Red Wings, and I think it's inevitable that Yzerman's going back to Detroit. Another one is Peter Chiarelli, who obviously Gordon worked under in Boston, but Chiarelli obviously failed miserably in Edmonton, which got him fired. You have Dean Lombardi, who was a great executive for the Kings, who ended up getting fired. A dark horse candidate for this job is somebody that I think has a chance to lose his job because the team underachieved the last 2 years, and that's Stan Bowman of the Blackhawks, but I say it's a dark horse because I think it's unlikely that Chicago fires him. Chicago made its move to change already with the firing of Joel Quenneville. So I don't think they'd fire Stan Bowman too. So those are my candidates, and I think Davidson ultimately gets this job, which I think would be a good hire because I think Davidson has done a great job in Columbus over the past few years. Now I'm going to move on to my NFL mock draft. I was supposed to do this a couple days ago, but just a lot going on. So without further ado, here is my latest mock draft. And it's my 10th version of it. Number 1, Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray, quarterback, Oklahoma. A month ago, I thought that Murray to the Cardinals talk was fake news, but after Steve Keim came out and said that Josh Rosen is our quarterback for now, convinced me that Murray is a near lock to go to Arizona and Josh Rosen is trade bait. Murray has a lot of respect from Cliff Kingsbury, and I think that's the obvious connection that is making the media think that this is a distinct possibility. Number 2, San Francisco 49ers. Nick Bosa, defensive end, Ohio State. This is the dream scenario for the Niners. Getting the best player in the draft is always a win for whomever drafts the player. Bosa would be an upgrade over any of the pass rushers currently on the Niners roster, and he did have an immediate impact like Myles Garrett did a few years back with the Browns. Number 3, New York Jets. Josh Allen, defensive end, outside linebacker, Kentucky. Allen is the one player that was a huge riser from the summer until now. The Jets have a need for the immediate impact talent and versatility on the defensive side of the ball, and Allen would be a great fit. A trade down is not out of the question either because the Jets still have other needs to address. 4, Oakland Raiders. Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle, Alabama. Williams is someone that the Silver and Black will gladly take, and John Gruden loves players like Williams. He's physical and can flat out tackle. I see a poor man's Aaron Donald here. It'd be a huge win for Gruden and Mike Maycock if Arizona takes Murray and or if someone trades up to 2 or 3 to take Dwayne Haskins or somebody else. 5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Montez Sweat, defensive end, outside linebacker, Mississippi State. The Buccaneers have options as they decide on the fast-rising pass rusher in Sweat, who does have major bust potential, though. He's very athletic and fast and someone that the Bucs can build their front 7 around along with Gerald McCoy. Number 6, New York Giants. Dwayne Haskins, quarterback, Ohio State. This is a marriage that has to happen. Eli Manning is not good anymore and is 5 years past his prime. Haskins is someone that there were rumors that the Giants had zero interest in him, but then reports circled that they had dinner with him after the combine and that they had key staff at his pro day. He's the best quarterback in this draft and has the makings of a leader, exactly what the Giants are looking for. 7, Jacksonville Jaguars. Jawan Taylor, offensive tackle, Florida. Taylor is someone that has risen fast after a strong combine performance. He is someone that excels in the run game and that would help Leonard Fournette find holes. The Jags have an already solid offensive line, but the presence of Taylor would only give it more depth and make life better for Nick Foles. 8, Detroit Lions. Devin White, inside linebacker, LSU. The Lions are getting a possible steal here with White, where some projections have him going as high as 4th to the Raiders. Matt Patricia would love a player of White's caliber, who is someone that is a dynamic tackling machine that could be a future Pro Bowler. 9. Buffalo Bills. Ed Oliver, defensive tackle, Houston. Oliver was once projected a top 5 pick, and his stock has dropped dramatically, so there's a chance Oliver is a steal at this point. The Bills need more help on the offensive line rather than the defensive line, but the retirement of Kyle Williams opened up a hole that Oliver can facilitate. 10. Denver Broncos. Drew Lock, quarterback, Missouri. There is some chatter that the Broncos might take or trade up for a quarterback, but I can see John Elway taking a chance here despite other speculation that he won't take a quarterback. Joe Flacco is only under contract for 1 season, and Locke can learn from him. 11. Cincinnati Bengals. Devin Bush, inside linebacker, Michigan. Bush is someone whose stock is rising of late who has first-round talent. The Bengals don't have Vontaze Burfict anymore, so a need emerges at the position, and they are a team that can use youth on their defense. There's some speculation that they're looking to find Andy Dalton's replacement, but I'm not buying it. 12. Green Bay Packers. T.J. Hockenson, tight end, Iowa. Jimmy Graham isn't the same player he once was in New Orleans, so the Packers should snag a fast-rising tight end in Hockenson. He's a good blocker and has drawn comparisons to George Kittle of the 49ers. It also wouldn't surprise me if they, and probably is the wiser choice, to take a defensive player. 13. Miami Dolphins. Rashawn Gary, defensive end, Michigan. Miami is a team that is all in on tank for Tua after it decided to trade Ryan Tannehill away and sign Ryan Fitzpatrick to a 2-year contract. Gary is someone who did not live up to his number 1 top prospect ranking he was given in high school, but maybe he's find his potential in the pros instead. 14. Atlanta Falcons. Christian Wilkins, defensive tackle, Clemson. Wilkins is the first of 3 Clemson defensive linemen to be drafted. The Falcons did franchise tag Gardy Jarrett instead of letting him test the open market, but selecting a defensive lineman here would bolster their depth at that area, and Wilkins can start for Dan Quinn immediately if need be. 15. Washington Redskins. DK Metcalf, wide receiver, Ole Miss. The latest rumor out of the nation's capital is that they are the favorites to trade for Josh Rosen. In matter of fact, Rosen or whomever is the quarterback of this team needs a wide receiver. Metcalf is a downfield threat who has a chance to get drafted as high as 7th to the Jaguars. 16. Carolina Panthers. Jonah Williams, offensive tackle, Alabama. The Panthers land a mega steal here with Williams, who is the best lineman in the draft. Williams will be starting right away in this scenario, and Cam Newton needs protection badly because he's a quarterback that has an injury risk as of right now. 17. New York Giants from the Cleveland Browns. Brian Burns, defensive end, outside linebacker, Florida State. There's a chance the Giants trade this in the 6th pick for the franchise quarterback they desperately need. Burns is someone that is rising with speed, but his weakness is that he isn't great against the run. The Giants have plenty of options here, but if the quarterback magically falls to them at 6, defense would be a wise play here. 18. Minnesota Vikings. Cody Ford, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. The Vikings are a team that's close to being a contender, and they must address their biggest weakness, their offensive line. Ford is someone that is coming off a strong final season in college and would be a welcomed addition to a Vikings offensive line that needs youth and reinforcements. 19. Tennessee Titans. Greedy Williams, cornerback, LSU. What a steal this would be for the Titans. Thought out as the best corner in the draft, Tennessee lands somebody that can come in and start immediately. Malcolm Butler isn't getting any younger, so this pick makes a ton of sense as they would end up having a secondary featuring Williams and Kevin Byard. 20. Pittsburgh Steelers. Byron Murphy, cornerback, Washington. Murphy falling this far would be somewhat of a steal for Steelers. Yes, they absolutely need a wideout to replace Antonio Brown, but this wouldn't be a bad option considering their secondary isn't great either. 21. Seattle Seahawks. Deontay Thompson, safety, Alabama. Thompson would be a steal dropping this far. Legion of Boom is gone in the Emerald City, and drafting the best safety in the draft would be great for Pete Carroll's young secondary. 22. Baltimore Ravens. Hakeem Butler, wide receiver, Iowa State. Butler's stock is rising very fast as he seems likely to be a first-round pick. Lamar Jackson needs weapons around him everywhere, and Butler would be a good start. 23. Houston Texans. Andre Dillard, offensive tackle, Washington State. No team needs an offensive line improvement in the league more than the Texans. Dillard is someone rising due to a strong combine showing, and he's the best blocking tackle in the draft and would be a treat for Deshaun Watson, who was sacked 62 times last year. 24. The Oakland Raiders from the Chicago Bears. Josh Jacobs, running back, Alabama. The Raiders use their second first rounder for a position of need with Marshawn Lynch and Doug Martin not being long-term solutions. Jacobs is the best running back in the draft, and I can see Maycock and Gruding taking him before the Eagles go on the clock. 25, Philadelphia Eagles. Greg Little, offensive tackle, Ole Miss. The Eagles roster is pretty good, so there's not really any obvious needs. The offensive line is a unit that is aging, and Little is someone that could be a first-rounder or a third-rounder. 26, Indianapolis Colts. Jerry Tillery, defensive tackle, Notre Dame. Tillery is someone that would fit very well into the new young core that the Colts are forming as they build around Andrew Luck. He's a versatile player that could be a steal for whomever picks him. 27, Oakland Raiders from the Dallas Cowboys. Irv Smith Jr., tight end, Alabama. Smith is the fastest rising tight end as of right now. Derek Carr needs weapons, and Smith would come in and replace Jared Cook very well. 28, the Los Angeles Chargers. Dexter Lawrence, defensive tackle, Clemson. The Chargers are a team that has a solid roster, so they have options here. Lawrence is someone that makes their defensive line better and brings more depth. He reminds me more of Fletcher Cox of the Eagles, and imagine him and Joey Bosa on the same defensive line. 29, Kansas City Chiefs. Cleveland Farrell, defensive end, Clemson. The third and final Clemson defensive lineman goes off the board as the Chiefs land a potential steal. They need to replace D Ford on their pass rush, and Farrell can come in and start immediately. 30, Green Bay Packers from the New Orleans Saints. Mack Wilson, inside linebacker, Alabama. Wilson's stock is rising as he's among the better linebackers in the draft. The Packers have a need of youth with the linebacker position, with Clay Matthews aging, and Wilson would be a solid fit. 31, Los Angeles Rams. Garrett Bradbury, center, North Carolina State. Bradbury is someone whose stock is rising rapidly and is the best center in this draft. The Rams lost John Sullivan in free agency, and Bradbury can come in and possibly start right away. 32, New England Patriots. Noah Fant, tight end, Iowa. Rob Gronkowski is now retired, and the Pats need a viable replacement. Fant is the best tight end of the draft, and he can have an impact similar to what Dallas Goedert had on the Eagles last year. That's it for my mock draft. I'll have another one for you next week. And before I go off, my best bet of the day is brought to you by DraftKings. Small wager, 86 cents with a payout of $6.19 with, ironically, plus 619 odds. The Orlando Magic, the San Antonio Spurs, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, the Utah Jazz, the Golden State Warriors, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Atlanta Braves, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And that's your best bet for tonight, and that's it for today's podcast. I'll be back tomorrow recapping the women's Final Four, and I will pick the men's Final Four tomorrow. Baseball, hockey, basketball, best bet, and any other news that happens around the world of sports. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.